Hello, my friends, and welcome to Youth Potential, a channel dedicated to helping young people with mental health problems. I have two books available, 102 Distraction Techniques and Self-Harm to Self-Harmony. Both of these books are only available on Amazon. Thank you very much for watching this video. Hello, my friend Scott here representing Youth Potential. Sorry it's been a while since I've done like a video. So today we're going to be talking about the aftermath of self-harm. And what I mean by aftermath is the sort of stages, the process that follows a self-harm incident. So literally from the moment you finish self-harming and kind of basically what comes after that. So the reason I've done this is because I want to describe and break it down so that people can understand it a lot clearer. And of course there's going to be people that are friends of or family members, family connections with people that struggle with self-harm, so I want to give them a bit of an insight as well. So let's just say, for example, someone has self-harmed and they've cut themselves or whatever. That's the most common form of self-harm, and the way that person is going to be, and this is all based on my own experiences, okay, there may be some differences at times even with myself, but you guys, you might have maybe this in a different order, or there's some other things as well that I haven't mentioned, but I'm just going to break it down the best as I can for you from my own personal experience. So the first thing that generally happens when you finish self-harming is this kind of like shock, and you begin to dissociate. I find, or have found, that I'm just kind of just still. I'm not really doing anything, not really focused on anything, not really paying attention to anything. I'm kind of just feeling. You know, I mean that in an emotional sense and a physical sense. It's quite an overwhelming sensation, self-harming, to say the least. So it just knocks you back, you know, and you're almost in disbelief of what's happened. Once that stage passes, I tend to come to like a realization of what's happened. I'm kind of slowly beginning to come back to reality, and I can make sense of what's happened in my head. I'm aware of what I've done to myself, and it's all like, whoa, okay, yeah. And then comes a satisfaction, which is usually induced by the dopamine and endorphins that my body's been releasing throughout the self-harm. And this, when I say satisfaction, I mean that in that you feel like you've got what you wanted out of the self-harm. It's got rid of the negative feeling or the tension or whatever it is that you've been experiencing up until now, and it just kind of overrides that. That starts to wear off at some point, and then the disappointment comes. Now, I don't always feel the disappointment when I've self-harmed. I just but that does come, and there's an element of shame which I have to kind of overcome, because I have to remind myself there's no shame in it. Obviously, I absolutely think that I would be needing to get help if I was self-harming at the moment. Now I'm about 27 weeks clean, I think it is, 28 weeks clean. But yeah, there's definitely disappointment there after the realization of what I've done to myself. Yeah, so those endorphins wear off, you're more aware, your emotions are kind of going up and down. Like there's like feelings of satisfaction and kind of like a sense of relief, and then there's, you know, disappointment, shame, frustration, those kinds of things. The endorphins completely wear off, and then you start to feel sore. Wherever you've hurt yourself is really sore, and you notice it on a physical and biological level. Reality hits even more, and you're just like, oh, you know, now I've got to clean up what I've done to myself, and that may involve showering, having a bath, washing, disinfecting, whatever it is. But there's definitely that cleanup time. That cleanup time needs to be very thorough, ideally using sanitized wipes, medical wipes of, you know, dressings, those kinds of things. And yeah, and then once you've healed yourself, so to speak, the next thing that comes in is the frustrating part, and that's having to hide your wounds. You've got to hide them, so you end up covering it up with dressings or whatever, or you end up just putting like a long sleeve t-shirt over it or something like that, or trousers, depending on where you've self-harmed on the body. And that's when kind of like that fear, that paranoia, that anxiety comes about. I definitely feel anxious when I'm at that stage that I realise I've got to hide my wounds. And then you have to kind of play like a bit of an act. You have to kind of go around in your life and around people, acting as if nothing has happened at all. Only in your own company do you kind of let those emotions kind of out a little bit. You know, the frustration of having self-harmed, or the shame, the guilt, etc., etc. But around other people, you just hide it. You do your absolute best to hide it. If someone goes to grab you on the arm, you have to kind of let it happen. Otherwise, you kind of give it away. And rather than go through that effort of having to try and act as if nothing's happened, I personally spend a lot of time socially and physically avoiding people. You know, I don't want to talk to them so much, and I don't really want to be around them at all, when the opposite is actually beneficial and more constructive, you know, being around people. And from that moment on, either one of two things happen. You either do it really well, hide it really well, shall I say, and people don't find out unless you tell them. But if other people find out, and, you know, maybe they can just see a few cuts at the end of your sleeves, or while you're getting changed in your room, they walk in and, you know, your parents see it or something like that. Yeah, at that stage comes all sorts of emotions. There can be, you know, you name it, you've probably experienced it. You know, there's the shame, there's the guilt, the frustration, the anger, the sadness, all of it. Embarrassment is quite common as well. Like, God, I felt so embarrassed when I've been caught having self-harmed. I have really embarrassed, and I shouldn't feel that way, but I have, because other people have made me kind of feel that way in the past. Yeah, and when people kind of discover, you end up trying to avoid them as much as possible, because you don't want to talk about it, not straight away anyway. And that gets lonely. You know you're not the only person in the world that self-harms, but you feel like you're the only person in the world that does. You're the only person who's living your experience, your life, and it feels lonely, really lonely. And then, unfortunately, that can often lead to a repeat in the cycle. And if it isn't the feeling of loneliness, there'll be something else that's triggering. And yeah, so it's very rare that someone self-harms once. I mean, my hat's off to people that can do that, but yeah, quite often the aftermath ends with the cycle repeating at some point sooner rather than later. Anyway, guys, please let me know your thoughts. Did I break it down well enough? You know, did I miss anything? Is there anything that happens to you that I didn't mention? I'd really like to read the comments below, guys. I do read all the comments. Sorry that I don't reply to them all, but I do read all of them, I promise. Thank you very much for watching and voting on this video, guys. It got over 100. The poll got over 100 votes, so that was awesome. I do appreciate it. Cool. Hopefully I'll get some more videos made up soon. I've written up a few more notes for more videos, so yeah, watch your space.